Let's talk to a man here, have a discussion about political contributions. I know it sounds boring, but it won't be. Trust me. Tawasi Soce. In this video, I talk about how corporations use the money we pay them to attack the rights of women. Why do we buy from companies that attack women's rights? Take it away, Tawasi.
Hey there, folks.
Yeah.
I wanted to come on here and talk to you guys a little bit about women's rights.
Yeah, women's rights and women's wrongs and women's lesson.
Because,
Yeah.
from my understanding, those are women's.
So men shouldn't have anything to say about it, especially those evil corporate men who contribute to these evil Republicans.
Really no reason that corporations should be trying to influence women's rights.
Yeah, you know what? That's the fancy. I agree with you completely. So these companies that you mentioned should also stop donating to pro-abortion people. Oh, you don't mean that, do you?
And, what we see happening right now in the United States is a massive push on behalf of corporations.
Corporations are trying to restrict the rights of women by donating to the evil Republicans
To keep women away from their rights.
What about the man? I'm afraid that concept would be beyond this discussion because he wouldn't understand it.
And it's really sad because
It is.
the individual politicians
Yeah.
and political groups like the Democrats and the Republicans,
The individual politicians who still have to earn the vote of the people in Alabama and Georgia, who were voted in by the vast majority. Okay.
are largely complicit.
Yeah.
They're complicit because they take the money and they sell the
Wow.
they basically sell the rights to they sell our women's rights.
I think that beeping was probably one of the aliens that visits this guy on a regular basis. Come on, Vern. It's time for the probing. Now, who are they selling women's rights to? Who is buying these women's rights, sir?
The politicians are selling our women's rights, and there are certain corporations that are buying the right to subjugate women.
I wonder, did you used to smoke ditchweed when you were a younger man? Because, there could be like herbicides in there and other nasty shit, nitrates and
And it's really important right now to figure out which corporations are doing that.
Yeah, we have a website here, and I found it just to share it with you, sir. OpenSecrets.org. Maybe you ought to go there and start looking up those evil corporations.
Who is spending money on hurting women's rights?
Who is spending money giving it all to Democrats? Oh, Planned Parenthood. $700,000 in the election cycle of 2016. 5,000 of which went to a Republican. But that's okay, isn't it, Tawasi? Because they believe in women's rights.
And then once we figure out who is spending that money, we have to hold those people accountable.
If they're spending money on your side, though, that's perfectly fine, isn't it, Mr. Tawasi?
We have to go to those corporations and say, hey, this isn't okay with us. We don't believe that you should be able to take away women's rights by spending money on corrupt politicians.
But it's okay for them to spend money if the corrupt politician supports abortion.
And, obviously it's not enough to hold the politicians accountable.
We do that by voting. Oh, that's right. Women don't have the right to vote anymore.
The politicians are not willing to be accountable to us. That's why they take the money from the lobbyists.
Really, that's how they get elected. They just pay their way in. There's no voting. There's no election. They just, here's a check because I want to take away women's rights.
So what I'm saying, and the reason I'm making this video, is that I feel like it's very important for us to look at which corporations are disenfranchising women.
Yeah, which ones are they? Eventually, you get to them. But it took you over 3 minutes.
Which corporations are financially supporting these attacks on women?
The same corporations that are also donating to Democrats at the very same time. You'd think they'd be financing candidates that might be able to help them, not necessarily women's rights.
And if you believe these
I know. Who would ever have thought?
abortion bans are bad, which is what I believe,
I don't.
then we need to go to the companies that are financing these abortion bans and hold them directly accountable. So in my newsfeed today, I saw a list of 6 corporations who are actively spending money to disenfranchise women. You have to go and take a look, but from memory, AT&T, Coca Cola,
Yes.
Aetna,
Yeah. Couple of drug companies too. So let's look at the Coca Cola business here. Coca Cola, opensecrets.org, the Center for Responsive Politics. Let's look here. Contributions to federal candidates 2018. $512,000 from Coca Cola's PAC. 42% to Democrats. 58% to Republicans. So leaning a little bit to the Republican side, but not by much. So they should stop giving to the Democrats as well. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Tawasi? No.
there's still 3 more that I can't just immediately remember. But these are companies that are purposefully spending money to finance these abortion bans. And
also finance a bunch of Democrats as well who are mostly pro-abortion. Should we end that too?
some of the ones that I know from before, Domino's Pizza.
Domino's Pizza. Let's go have a look and see. Federal candidates 2018 election cycle from Domino's Pizza's PAC. Well, there's a couple of Republicans in there. Notably, Kathy McMorris Rogers out of Washington. They gave her $18,700, but they also gave money to Debbie Stabenow, David McDevitt, Beto O'Rourke, Danny O'Connor, and so on and so forth. All Democrats. They also donated to Bernie Sanders, Heidi Heitkamp, North Dakota, Kamala Harris, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. $42 from Domino's Pizza. So they donate to both parties, sir.
Is fiercely anti-abortion, and they spend a lot of money attacking women's rights.
They're more pro-Catholic, but whatever floats your boat.
And, we just can't stand by for this anymore. We can't just finance the attacks on women's rights. And that's basically what it comes down to.
But it's probably perfectly okay in your mind for them to finance candidates that will attack the rights of unborn children. That's fine because you believe in that. But the other way, no. Links will be below. James Maxwell, thank you for listening.